Welcome back, everyone. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett Weinzierl. Here as always with Kyle Fergusson. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing well. We had some fabulous games this week. I'm now off lane for my team, which is just really relaxing and relieving. It's been a good week in Heroes.
I am now a one-game played Kerrigan main on one map only.
When you win, man, you got a 100% win rate.
Dude, I gotta say, we got a big show today. We can take a minute. We can talk about our personal heroes' lives here at the top of the show.
Playing the video game we're going to talk about.
I left feeling so good from our little batch of games yesterday because we were stuck. We had hit a wall. We weren't really sure what to do. And I got confident. I was like, I think this is what we should do. And we did it, and it worked out pretty damn well.
It's a big shocker, but CC wins games.
Yeah,
by chance.
I thought you were going to say it's a big shocker, but Garrett was right about something. But okay, that's fair.
No, I'm not going there, man. I was really proud of you out there. We were wrecking it. We had some tough fights, but we came out on top. If anyone's not familiar with the story leading to this point, we climbed all the way from Gold 1 to Plat 2. Swiftly. Yeah. Basically, gray main Malfield the whole way, as you can imagine. Macro heavy, and then very much delete somebody in a team fight and win after that.
Pretty much.
Plat 2s, though, are good at macro.
They are.
And team fighting.
They are. And we weren't decisive enough. So we had a couple sessions where we were just continuing to kind of slam our heads against this wall. You weren't getting off gray main. I was still just locking Malfield because we were seeing so much heavy front line. It seemed like Malfield was the way to go and had been working this far up until now. Why change things? Well, we got to a point where we needed to, and so we sat down and kind of had a talk, and we're like, well, let's just be more decisive. Let's get some CC so we can make some calls. And it worked.
Oh, in that first game, we literally had no tank. We had a Zeratul pick instead of the last pick tank in the first place. But because we brought Kael'thas and Gaslow, we actually had enough CC to make the team work. Plus an awesome shout out to awesome tank Anduin running in with his own light bomb in order to absorb enemy damage.
Yeah, we got carried a little bit there by that Anduin. If you're out there, I don't think so, because usually people recognize us when we're playing together, even when you're on your Smurf account. But shout out to that Anduin, because his light bomb, Anduin basically became our tank. There's just like no other way around it. We ended up in that game. But yeah, that game, like our randos, they had some opinions. People weren't stoked that the last pick didn't decide to flex onto a tank to give us one. That didn't happen. We ended up in one of those games. That happens, right? We've all been there. We're like, did we forget to draft X? The tanker support. That's where you really lose your mind, right? Like you can. Anyway, my takeaway last night was that the most uncomfortable game I played was on Rexar. And I had a Kerrigan game last night. Dude, I could, if you asked me when the last time I played Kerrigan was, I would not have an answer for you. I don't know.
You did lane against a Phoenix, which is that old range counter to Rexar, and at equal skill of the two players, that's just a stupid matchup. That's a skill matchup.
Dumb. And one you've mentioned before. It's been a long time, but you're like, I think I've talked about Phoenix as a Rexar counter before. But yeah, if the Phoenix was like landing his Phoenix combo, which is the thing I don't really think of. I don't think of Phoenix as a combo, but I guess in a way he is. He was like chunking Misha for half the health bar. Once I got past 10, once we got like heroics online, I actually ended up going Bestial Wrath. It got way easier, but dude, I can't think of a game in recent memory where the crawl to 10 felt longer. Like in that game was Zul'jin down in the bottom lane in the 4-stack versus an Illidan and a Johanna. So my stacks were not going fast either. Planet Cracker 2 made that game go super duper crazy. And I will throw out before we get to the notes, I'm aware of what I've done. I don't think of myself as an evil person, but, I've already got the facial hair for it. Listen, if no one bans a bugged hero, and it is a map that is good for that hero, I would have picked it anyway. But I was further encouraged by the fact I didn't want the enemy to have a bugged hero. That is fair. We're talking about Zul'jin here, by the way, in case you missed the memo, and we're going to talk about it much later in the show, the actual bug, what it is, so on and so forth. But yeah, hey, man. You'll see no judgment from me. But I understand, being on the program, that sometimes developers of the game listen to, you want to make sure that they understand you're not abusing the situation.
No.
You're just
adapting,
directing the power. You know,
sure.
Like a lightning strike's going to happen either way. Wouldn't you rather have like a weather main on the roof?
Right?
I guess a lightning rod. I think a weather main probably wouldn't absorb it, and you'd probably still have some sort of fire or damage. Anyway, somebody out there is going to be like, "Hi, I work in lightning rods, and that was the dumbest thing anyone's ever said. Congratulations."
Oh,
but
sure, well, there's probably actual armchair designers who listen too. So we can't help everybody out. Listen. YouTube.com/Kyle Fergusson if you want to see those fabulous games. Let's dive into some patch notes because it's going to be a big show.
Yeah. Before we do that, we want to thank those of you supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. Huge thanks to everybody over there supporting us. That's where you can go if you like what we're doing here at Into the Nexus. If you want to support Kyle, you want to support myself, this may come as a surprise. We don't actually get paid by Blizzard to make this show. I know we put it on such a professional product, and we are such shills for Blizzard that you might think to yourself, oh boy, these guys are probably rolling in Activision money. But we aren't. We're completely independent. And this is a big portion of how we actually pay our bills. So if you like the show, it's always going to be free. We're not going to put it behind paywall or anything. But you want to support us, head on over to patreon.com/ITN. Consider helping us out and get yourself some perks like access to our Discord and signing up for our monthly game nights. So,
which is next week.
It is. Yeah, next Thursday. I believe it's the 28th. Of January, we're going to be doing our game night. So come hang out with us. Let's throw down, play some Heroes of the Storm. And let's also thank our most recent patrons, Soneka, Badger, Berto, and Eric Enderby. I didn't do last name or no last name given because 3 of them had no last name given. Yeah. But thank you very much, everyone, for signing up. We really, really appreciate it. It's a nice little surge of patrons in between weeks. Love to see another 4 in between this week and next. Go check it out.
Ooh, a challenge.
Oh, yeah. And everyone's like, challenge not accepted. Already a patron. Sorry. But let's get into it, man. We got a lot to talk about. We got a big old patch. Let's get into this week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
All right, it happened, Kyle. They said it was going to happen. They followed through. We have our first patch in quite a while for Heroes of the Storm, and a lot of heroes were messed with. Before we even get into it, though... Oh, wait, yes?
22 heroes, which was the promise. However, just to dismiss any further shilling that may be suspected here, this is a balance patch. And you may have heard across the internet that people were disappointed by it. But I want to approach this as a balance patch. This is not really a content patch. And that is a little sad after waiting around for so long, but understandable. And with CCL next weekend, I think it's perfectly sane that some things were tuned, but the overall meta wasn't shifted.
Yes. All well said. I'm trying to think if I have anything that I don't. I have nothing else. I'm with you. This is very much like a tinkering patch. It feels like we're messing with some very small and minute things here with a couple of exceptions.
Now, I do think there's some really cool ideas in here. There always seems like there's a little bit of a project in each patch, and I really, really like the projects that they're presenting.
I'm curious what you think the project is, because I didn't really see a major through line going through this patch. It just kind of seemed like a lot of housekeeping. You know, you gotta... the reflection on the Hogger hurts your eyes. It's working too well. You need to ding them up a bit. You know, my analogies are terrible today. I apologize, but yeah, to me, it was kind of all over the place. But I mean, I'll get your thoughts at the end here. So let's kick it off. Starting with tanks. Am I on the wrong patch?
How'd you get
November
4th?
I am on the wrong patch. I am so sorry.
You did the Blizzard website thing where you're grabbing the thing at the top of the list, but not the top of the panels at the top. You got to go with the panels.
Oh, God, that's such bad design. I never noticed that before.
So many times.
Yeah, usually I just grab it out of the show notes, but I forgot to leave myself a link at the top. The audio listeners have no idea because they're not watching this visually, but we show the patch notes on our live stream while we're.
You were just trying to highlight the drama that we've had to wait since November 4th.
November 4th, Kyle, and all we got was a lousy. Actually, no, there's some cool stuff in here. So first up is Blaze. They said that, these are the dev comments, they said that while in a relatively good place, many of Blaze's talent tiers have 1 or 2 talents that are heavily picked over the third. We're trying to shore up the alternative picks to be more competitive, so on and so forth. And that's basically what happened here. Endurance Stim Pack was buffed. Neural Stim Pack was also buffed at level 1. Neural Stim Pack had the lowest pick rate by a pretty large margin. Endurance Stim Pack has a decent pick rate, but a low win rate. Although Blaze's win rate overall is not the highest out there if you're looking at aggregate sites like Hotslogs. But yeah, and same thing across the board. Grill and Kill at 7. Even though 7's pretty even as far as pick rate, Grill and Kill has a low win rate.
So let's talk about Grill and Kill for a quick moment.
Okay.
Because this is a buff to most Blaze players in the wrong direction. Or what incentivizes you to take Grill and Kill is actually the quest reward, where you increase the oil spill ignite duration by 2 seconds and its damage by 35%. The damage along the way there on the quest is just part of the climb to getting that duration. And this is up against Crossfire, which is a major way Blaze deals damage in the first place. So this particular incentivization probably won't cut it.
Yeah, well, this is the interesting thing, right? Is 7 has, at least, looking at Hotslogs, really even pick rates. Like some of the more even we've seen. And Grill and Kill, at least at the moment, looking at like the last 3 patches, is barely the most picked. So I find this interesting. So it's like, it's not going to hurt, but you're basically saying they're trying to shore up a symptom and not like the root cause of issues.
Or at least why people would want to take Grill and Kill in the first place. Yeah. This is a nice adaptation. And the slow increase on adhesive petroleum seems really good. I mean, as you noted here, the highest win rate talent on the tier.
If I'm looking at the last 3 patches, in case anyone's wondering what the hell my filters were.
Crossfire does the damage, and that's why people take it.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then we also got a buff to nanomachine coating duration increase, which is up against fuel leak and suppressing fire, which has actually taken a decent amount. Yeah. Nanomachine coating is kind of like it's notably unpopular. It's not like tier 7 or level 7 where there's a lot of cross picking and talent diversity happening there on Blaze. So yeah, the Blaze used to be a pick for you. I haven't seen you on them in forever.
No. It was mainly an outbreak of things like Garrosh, ETC, just a lot of heroes that either get in front of you like ETC does and ruin your ability to escape, or the fact that you would be thrown and now that body block is happening anyway. So other tanks counter what Blaze wanted to do in that regard. There are stronger double soakers at the moment. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about double soaking a little bit, because there's a very interesting issue arising right now.
Which is?
Diva Dahaka don't mount. And they both can double soak. That's something Dahaka does a lot of the time, but it can happen. Diva certainly does some double soaking on things like Towers of Doom. The main counterplay to double soaking is to dismount your enemy. But if you don't mount in the first place, you can't be dismounted. And therefore, these two heroes have no counterplay to each other and just double soak with impunity. So any hero that does a solo lane now has to double soak. And in our home games, we're starting to realize that the counterplay is to knock them off their soak mount.
So are you saying that if you get into a situation where the other team has either Diva or Dahaka, you are just at a staunch disadvantage if you do not take the other hero?
To an extent,
if you take
in
any
this
other
extreme example, where they will be dismounting you, which isn't something everybody does.
Correct. But
Zul's still rocket,
for the sake of this thought experiment. let's assume people are dismounting.
Right. So it's an interesting development that we don't really know what to do with Blaze right now in our home games. He's not quite that tank because he is countered by other tanks. It's kind of the name Mal'Ganis. Mal'Ganis problem.
What are your favorite heroes?
I know, but there's a lot of Mals and stuff in the game. I get a little confused sometimes.
I could not teach you a little bit for that.
He's countered by tanks. The popular tanks people pick. So where is he going to get to live? And the same thing is developed with Blaze. And if Blaze can be brought up to double soak priority, which he's okay at, he might hit a wall, which is the Diva wall, in that he still has to mount.
All right. I haven't been thinking about any of this, but like also you're mentioning like Dahaka in this, right? Like I can't remember the last time I've seen a Dahaka.
Right, and the Dahaka has to go through the bushes and weave, and it's a very unique situation, but mostly I'm talking about anyone versus Diva. This is very apparent.
Yeah, providing Diva gets through the draft and there's all of that, but like the fact that you're seeing your band just drives home how popular she is. So thanks, Kyle. One more thing that I previously didn't understand, and now when it happens to me, I'm going to be annoyed.
Yeah, it's something that's definitely, kind of an egg that cracks in the back of your mind and gives birth to this horrible thought, but it is a little scary. However, I do want to counter everything I just said, in that we have a lot of nerfs to bruisers, and that might seem bad. But I do want to applaud the developers for making the bruiser better. Like 2019, 2020, all we could talk about was how boring the solo lane is and how we didn't like our bruisers we had options for. And we are swimming in options right now. Like, take a look at your tank tab. You got Garrosh, Johanna, ETC, Diablo, and May, and a lot of the other ones we like to ignore or think they're incidental or certain picks. But you go to the bruiser list, and you've got 4 additional picks that are labeled bruiser in the first place, and some tank picks you might run in that regard, like Blaze. And all of them can be absolute passion picks for your own personal skill. They could all be early picked, some more dangerous than others, but still. Our bruiser game is really, really great right now. I really want to see tanks brought up to this level.
Yeah, and so I can't help but look at this and think about like all the pocket bruisers, right? Like these heroes that people tend to specialize in, like your Chens and your Rexars. And I just don't see that happening in tanks. Like they're these picks that are not happening every game, but when they happen, there's this thought in the back of your mind, we're like, oh, okay, it's on. This person's probably a main of this hero.
Yeah.
Maybe Tyrael? Or is that just wishful thinking in the back of my mind? Is because I see Tyrael and I go, oh, well, we're going to lose. So I'm just going to hope that this guy is a god.
Much like I do with Stitches. You see a Stitches and you're like, oh, thank goodness we got a Stitches main, right? The same thing happens with healers, though. It's a required role, you know? I mean, we got our Lilies and our Muradins, our emergency pickups. You have the more maybe knowledgeable people who have at least that Deckard or that Johanna in their back pocket, but they're not particularly passionate about it.
Yeah. We had that solo tank Kael'thas yesterday that our randos had a lot of opinions about, but it worked out. We got there.
We took advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah, we got there. Luckily, we drafted CC, but yeah. And it's all really interesting thoughts you bring up there, man. But let's keep it going and see what happened to the only other tank I believe that was given any changes, which is May. For the most part on May, it was underpicked talent love. However, very noticeable straight up buffs to Snowblind and Ice Wall. So
yeah,
Snowblind Q, like base kit. Yeah, you need to talent into Ice Wall to get anything out of it, but Snowblind, just getting a longer slow and blind duration, which puts it ahead of Johanna
by 0.25 seconds.
Yeah, it's a quarter second longer.
Yeah, in a world where Tychus is first pick viable, where we are currently dealing with a bug Zul'jin, which will be fixed rather swiftly according to all comments. This is really interesting that we have additional options for Tychus. And this does empower all of the various Snowblind builds, of which There is one with the Slush Ball and the Heavy Pact, which also receive buffs, and it was okay in certain situations.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some interesting Ice Wall use very recently, as a matter of fact. But this is a hell of a buff on Ice Wall, right? So do you think this makes it a legitimate pick?
I think for competitive, they were already using Ice Wall, so this is kind of a shock to them. Us at home, we could use the incentivization.
So do you look at it and go, okay, they're not balancing based on CCL?
To an extent, right? I do think Ice Wall requires a very particular draft. And in my games for Heroes Lounge and now planning for NGS.
Was that Carthonassi?
Yes, a cat was exploring the closet rather aggressively.
Okay, it's all right. He's very passionate about Ice Wall.
Very passionate, very passionate. Ice Wall has to have a follow-up. There has to be an idea in mind when we're going into Ice Wall. And my own team right now is running Deathwing Ice Wall with a full Q build. So you can start flaming the line of people who are now frozen and hook them up with damage the second they pop out.
So you're running a fire and ice comp, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's a cute way to put it.
Do you have a song
we were
yet?
That focused.
Do you have a song yet?
No, but the ice isn't melted by the fire, so I don't know how much we should invest in this idea. Plus, Pokemon kind of made it confusing where water beats fire, but fire beats ice, which I get, but then the ice becomes water, so it still bothers me.
Fair.
Because you got your Moltres, and you hit the Articuno, but now the Articuno turns to water, and then Moltres takes damage from that? Like, what's the plan here?
Instant vaporization because of rapid temperature change? I got nothing.
Could be kind of a hot tub rain situation, right? Where you don't feel the rain because the steam is catching it. And
hey, meteorologists, could you hook us up? Could you let us know? Let me know about the lightning comment from earlier, and if you could also weigh in on the fire and ice situation. I believe, Kyle, are you gonna go remove a cat?
I'm sorry, I got parkour city over here. I gotta address this.
That's quite all right. I will pause recording so audio never knows. How y'all doing? How you doing, chat room? You enjoying the soundtrack?
All right.
Is it doing well? Yeah.
Are you trying to find a
Jacuzzi combo. Ooh. I could go for a jacuzzi right now. I could go for a jacuzzi. That sounds lovely.
Okay.
That sounds good. I'm gonna take this excuse to yawn. All right.
That's where you want to be.
Been a long day.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Been a long day.
I'm aware you're upset, but you're interrupting the show, bro. I thought you could be cool in here.
Listening to Kyle talk to his cat.
Would you want to be cool? Do you have to find a place to sleep?
Oh.
Figure it out?
I know I want to entertain you, chat, but I also kind of just want to listen to Kyle talk to his cat.
Okay.
All right, I think we're,
right.
I've got something new I can show you. I got something new.
Cool.
Let's see. I've added this to my collection.
Okay.
I got a cool new helmet.
I'm going back to the show.
Got a Captain Cardinal Stormtrooper helmet. Yeah, then we can do some show and tell. There we go. We're doing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, love it. This is it's very cool. Kyle's almost back.
All right.
That was hilarious, man. I didn't even want to talk to the stream. I just wanted to listen to you talk to Karth.
Oh, I didn't mute the mic.
No, you did not. You're just like, I know you're upset, man. But all right.
Get it.
Where the hell did we leave off? I'm just gonna, I'm gonna leave this in. So, okay. So Kyle's back from taming his cat, which is a fool's errand. You can't actually tame cats, but to the best of your ability, Karth has been satiated. Welcome back.
It's good to be here. Thank you. Let us continue.
Yeah. And so, any closing thoughts on May that does not have to do with things that confused you in Pokemon?
No, I'm excited about her having some more blind viability and allowing me to have additional counter picks to Tychus. I think a blind upgrade and pushing the idea that we have more options than Johanna is a really, really good idea right now.
I dig. Well, let's keep moving right along as we get into the bruiser territory and start things off with a hero we just talked a lot about just a few moments ago, which is Diva. The dev said that Diva is a very unique hero due to her ability to go in and out of her mech to survive in situations where other heroes would perish. When she's too tanky, she can be overly frustrating due to having to die twice in order for the enemy team to remove her from the map. Apparently, Heroes of the Storm players are developers, Kyle, are Sekiro fans. Died twice. They continue saying, we think she's a little too beefy in this regard right now, so we're lowering her mech survivability. We're also buffing Bunny Hop's damage so that it better competes with micro missiles. That's exactly what they did. So mech health was reduced. It ends up being roughly 4.4% of a reduction. I don't like saying 2250 to 2150. It's like, oh, it's only 100. I like to think about it in percentages. It gives me a better visualization in my head of how that stuff goes down. So going to be a little bit easier to kill that to kill that mech. And then Bunny Hop's damage went up considerably, 52 to 70, which is more than a 34% increase.
So the health decrease means that it was a nerf to Full Metal, the level 1 talent that allows you to gain 10% additional health, and fusion cannons heal for 20% of the damage dealt to enemies in the bonus area, which is a nice nerf to that because it does tend to dominate, and I really like it because it allows Diva to take camps, which is great, and get a little tiny baby healing, but you know, all those like 7s flying across the screen are kind of cool, and they definitely give you some trade value when you're fighting the enemy bruiser. Bunny Hop, people don't really think it needs damage. It needs something else. I don't know what makes it compete with that much range on micro missiles. The damage is rather incredible. A slow by 35% with the boost and everything else means you can now get after that hero you were going for, create that body block again, have another charge to damage them in their faces with these mini missiles, maintain that body block, boost again. Micro missiles just does too much, including dismounting people at range on a rotate if it's going past 10.
Yeah. That's because what they don't talk about here is like the fact that there's a stun on Bunny Hop, right? Like, and stuns are just scary abilities, right? To buff and to empower. And it's like, yeah, you could make the stun a lot more enticing here, but if you're successful with it, well, you have one of the more powerful and more problematic heroes in the game now with a good stun at 10, which is its own balancing act in the first place. It's just not mentioned in the dev comments. So,
well, and this is a situation where we all know the ways they could easily buff Bunny Hop, and we understand why they wouldn't want to. It's like someone saying, man, Chen's barrel is hard to control. Can you make it easier? No. Good God, no. I don't want to be stuck in that daze field where I'm basically silenced. That's awful.
Yeah, the clunk is part of the design. I mean, it's been a while, I think, since we've talked about this, but like the good example on this program, the thing I complain about a lot is controlling Raynor's Banshee. As a Rexar player, that Banshee seems like I'm playing blackout drunk levels of slow to respond. Yeah. But yeah, that's part of the design. But and chat room saying, you know, just nerf missiles, like Corny saying lower the range. It's like, I get that, but I don't know. I have historically not been the biggest fan of like nerf to make uninteresting or like unappealing talents more appealing. I don't know. I would like them at least play around with it, but yeah, it's hard not to look at damage going up on Bunny Hop and be like, well, it is a significant amount, but it's like, why would you bother? There's so much more guaranteed and safe damage from the alternative.
There are some cool ideas I think could be fun. First of all, I want to address what to me is the elephant in the room, moving it up from every 4th consecutive hit. And that's where I reach Chen levels of Salt Wall. I don't want every Bunny Hop to even mini stun me Condemn style. That would interrupt tons of channels. That would be a huge burden to just auto attackers in general or doing any sort of positional problems. But what about Bunny Hop being boostable? If you combined your Q with it, for instance, could you move it around faster? That would take 2 abilities. That'd be rather taxing. What if you could set your bombing mech to Bunny Hop So it would control an area, possibly stun people in there, while also building towards that explosion.
I think those are both very strange, but I like the second one way more than the first. I think Diva moves way too quickly for your first suggestion to be all that useful.
You would look like you're literally bunny hopping, though, so it'd match the ability. But yes, I agree. It'd be very clunky, very messy.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool to see that thing jumping up and down while about to explode, though, while Diva runs away or stands there and auto attacks.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, you always got to be careful when you're combining abilities, right? If Kerrigan has a combo, we can never make her, was it grasping blades? The pulley one?
Primal blades?
We can't make it any better because it's part of something else.
Don't ask me names if I don't have things up. I don't remember the name of anything. Except Misha Charge, because it's literally what I'm asking Misha to do. But, yeah.
You're right. Primal grasp.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, we talked about Blaze, not the most popular. We talked about May, popular hero, but Diva is really like a draft impacting hero right now. Like the draft, Diva's one of these heroes that is impacting how we draft. Do you think a 4% nerf to Diva's base health is enough to make it so that we're not always considering at least a Diva ban?
I think Diva's been out of at least early ban territory for a bit. The issue is that we have now nerfed Hogger and Cassia, and that could leave the Diva ban open again.
That's kind of the like, not to get ahead of ourselves, but where I'm ending with this patch is I think this patch is upsetting the draft meta, and that's where I think it's interesting, because just in the few games I've played this week, my drafts have been really, really interesting compared to the long holiday that we just took.
Well, it's not fair to the designers either to look at each of these buffs inside of a bubble, because it does matter that Cassia was nerfed for Diva's sake and her getting banned. All these things interweave. The May buff for blinds might be directly tied to Tychus, and why Tychus didn't receive auto attack damage reductions or minigun damage or throughput or duration increases and debuffs.
Yeah, I don't know. That's where I land on Divas. I think we're going to see just a little bit more Diva making it through ban rounds.
Have you been playing Diva? Have you brushed up?
No, I want to, and I think this will do it, which I know is weird. It's like, hey, she got nerfed. Cool. I'm going to start playing her now. But that's what I always do with like the new hotness heroes, either after a buff or a rework or whatever, or just coming out in the first place, is I wait until they get dinged a bit, until they're not super popular and always picked or always banned in every single game. So weirdly enough, this is one of the more exciting things for me in this balance patch.
She's surprisingly easy. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but she works on all the principles you'd already have from playing tank and bruiser.
Low skill floor, I think, is a good place to describe that. I think it's easy to start playing Diva.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, get on it.
Cool.
Watch my Nazmas video too. That's really good.
Who?
I got to interview Nazmas and do a Diva guide with him over on youtube.com/heroeshearth. And that is an instant, like, half hour, you'll be Diva ready.
Done. Let's add a link to the show notes. Gaslow is up next, which I was just like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know if they're going to hurt my Gaslow. And they did, but honestly, it's fair. Gaslow has just been at the top of the win rates since his rework. Like, hasn't, well, I guess they had to put a buff in there, right? Because he launched a little undertuned. Am I remembering that correctly?
That sounds right to me.
Or am I getting him confused with Cassia? I think I'm getting him confused with Cassia. Anyway, Gazo's been on top for a very long time. And so on his base kit, Explodium Charge has had its damage reduced. It's roughly 8% if you're interested. This isn't going to have a huge impact on team fighting because it's not the main reason you're stoked on Explodium Charge. You want it for the stun, and that hasn't been messed with at all, but it is going to impact double soaking, which we have already spent a long time on this program talking about today.
Right. And that's one of the big blows, is that he couldn't really pull it off before. And now he's going to have even more issues in that department, which does force Gaslow into kind of a weird, possibly 4-man position, which is cool, but isn't as optional as someone like Zul. Zul brings that root. Yeah. He's in the 4-man on Braxis. It's kind of cute. It can do a lot. Gaslow is very much finding himself heading that direction. By the way, you were right. Gaslow came out and had to be buffed in both rocket turrets, health, death laser, and explodium charge.
Okay, so it wasn't crazy. Cassie, I think, was just more dramatic. She was like, she launched so low with her rework. But I think Braxis is a strange example. Because I think that like you can't double soak, so that's where Gaslow would still shine alone. Mm-hmm. And any dual lane map, I think, is gonna still be the case for Gaslow, where that's a place we really want to consider him. But then if you get into a 3-lane map, that's where you want to go and consider putting Gaslow with the party.
I think a lot of this is highlighted too by superior schematics, which increased bonus range and is now from 50% to that 30%.
Yeah, way
This to me
down.
says, hey, Gaslow's owning some low leagues. Turrets are living a long time. This is doing a lot of damage.
Yeah. Which this is another one I find particularly fascinating, because one of the other talents on the same tier is Overcharged Capacitors. And basically, since his rework, Overcharged Capacitors have been giving superior schematics a run for its money. The pick rates have been neck and neck, as have the win rates. And so if you've been spending a lot of time with Gaslow, hell, if you've just been spending a little time with Gaslow and you're kind of used to him, I would really put in a strong recommendation for Overcharged Capacitors. This is the stacking spell power for each turret you have out, and you also add to their timers of how long they stick around based on basic attack damage. So if you're landing hits, cool, they're going to stick around for a while. And this is one I really like. I mean, don't get me wrong, the bonus range on superior schematics is great. But Overcharged Capacitors has been performing at essentially an identical level in terms of win rate and pick rate.
I do think Overcharged Capacitors is the way we should be looking right now. I love positive reinforcement, the attack speed, but I'm also a dirty Robo-Goblin only player, which is something I desperately need to break myself out of.
Yeah, it's some interesting things. And we lost some damage on Gravo Bomb, but again, it's just like, yeah, it's a little more than a 6% decrease. It's nothing to sneeze at, but at the same time, not the main reason you're taking Gravo Bomb.
Setup, team fight, all that sort of thing.
Yep. So let's move right along to the man hyena of the hour, Hogger. Been waiting for it, Kyle. We've been waiting for it. I've seen so many memes. The one with Patrick being dumb with the creepy starfish guy. The
sure.
Humanoid guy. Yeah. Oh, that's his name. Thank you. I couldn't remember the guy's name. Seen a lot of those talking about how silly it is that this hero has a baseline ability that grants unstoppable in armor. But here we find ourselves. It has finally come, and it's subtle, man. I know if it's your first time looking at it, maybe you're watching this on video, you're like, there's a lot of changes here. There's some subtle changes here. Probably not what a lot of us were expecting. But we got baseline nerfs to health and loot horde, and that's it for baseline nerfs. Health went down 2.5%, and loot horde, now the meat duration is shorter. It used to stick around for 5 seconds, now it only sticks around for 4. Which, that one, that of all the changes here, that's the one where I just go, that's interesting.
It does affect your ability to get your meat when you're in those crazy hog wild positions, though. You're going to make a terrain block with both the loot horde and your actual hortapult, which then you will then wiggle around and run around like crazy, and then eventually get to the meat so you can survive and advance and continue fighting. This is a pretty big hit to that. And every talent that affects loot horde, of which there were very few changes. The real one being Garbage Fire had its cooldown reduction reduced and the damage reduced by 2. So very, very tame.
Yeah, well, it's worth mentioning that cooldown reduction used to be 4. It is now 2. It was straight up halved.
Right. I think that most people want to see a hog wild range reduction because that's what allows it to get in all these crazy positions. However, it still feels a little early for that to me. Like you have all these.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, man. It's a little hard. Like we had one particularly game that's very strong in my memory this week where we played against a Hogger, but that was a game where we had a really strong level lead. And so, which talent is the armor one? That is at 13, right? Dust Devil?
Because the armor one, yes.
Yeah. That's the armor bonus one below 50 rage, and armor bonus one above 50 rage. Both have been reduced. So it used to be 30 armor when you were below 50 rage. It is now 20. And it used to be 50 armor when above 50 rage, and that is now 40. It was hard to come out of the games that we played not feeling like, yeah, Hogger's killable now. Cool. But in all those cases, in our experience, we had a level lead. So I haven't had a really close game against a legit Hogger that like knows what they're doing, and we're equal level tiers. And so I don't have a good anecdotal feel for if this has really, really done it. But I mean, on paper, straight up easier to kill. Less health, less armor if you're doing the build that every Hogger is doing. They nerfed the go-to talents at 4, at 7, they nerfed the go-to heroic, and at 13. So while it's subtle, they didn't do what you mentioned, which is reducing the base range on Hog Wild. The way we're building Hogger right now just got a big dent.
And if they did reduce it, it would be so mathematically precise as to not ruin everybody's hard work in learning the hero, everybody's sweet angles on those various merc camps, which were planned. And if they made it shorter than that, well, then you take away his whole thing. You take away his ability to merc camp, which people have loved him for. And I think that's too big of a blow on a fun hero for many.
I like to see play around with. I'm not saying this is like slam my fist on the table. This is what I want. But what about like a window on Unstoppable? Like for first X seconds, you're unstoppable. And same goes for maybe the armor buffs or whatnot. But I like what they're doing here with the 13 on Dust Devil. I think it's perfectly fine.
I bet you that's in their back pocket, but they want to attack survivability first. They want to make sure that if he poorly hog wilds or is doing it too aggressively, that you can kill him and punish him during those moments. And that's what I really see in something like aggro range, which now has that reduced throughput into your rage. Meaning that you have to build up your rage first if you want to do a good Hog Wild, which we know is essential, because Hog Wild's damage is very low otherwise. Now, setting yourself up with no rage going on Infernal Shrines isn't going to maximize at the same rate and will be quite a bit slower. The real thing left for me is Shockwave. Shockwave did receive a buff. We got a stun duration increase, damage went up. If Shockwave is able to make it into the game, be as viable as Hortipult, then we might see these other buffs to like Journeyman's Cooking and the various easy throw dynamite builds start working out. And that would be a very fun Hogger. And that would be a very enjoyable way to draft him early and know that I can make up for, the danger of the enemy side with poke by taking these various talents which have been buffed. But I think it's really hinging on Shockwave being viable.
It's a thought. I still think Hortipult's fine though. Like, yeah, it's at a minute cooldown now. That's the sweet spot. Minute cooldowns don't feel that bad.
And it's still an escape. It's still got all of its tools on it. It's another meat to heal with that you might be on top of. So the duration of meat didn't really matter maybe for your particular play style. Like, Hogger's not out of the world, and I still think we'll see bans on him for a time.
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm weirdly, maybe I'm masochistic, but I'm kind of enjoying watching this community as a whole learn to deal with a Hogger. The splits I've seen, dude. The splits I've seen from my teammates when an enemy Hogger starts hog wilding, just getting the hell out of the way. It's awesome. It's awe-inspiring. And
we've learned a lot.
It's been cool to watch that happen and unfold. And if we just kind of destroy Hog Wild, it's just, I don't know. That kind of goes, like you said, it destroys all the hard work that Hogger players have done. But I think it destroys all the hard work we as players of this game, Heroes of the Storm, have done, learning how to get the hell out of the way. But obviously, it's always your choice, depending on what the rest of the enemy comp looks like and how much CC is there. And all sorts of extraneous details. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm surprised how much I like these changes to Hogger.
Tame for a new hero should be the way.
Yeah. Imperius is up next. Good old, they just can't stop messing with him, man. He's starting to look like a bunker in StarCraft 2.
Okay, but this is not attacking Flash of Anger, which
that is fair. That is
the
fair.
big deal here. They're going after Impaling Light, though. They're going after Sovereign's armor, and mainly they're fulfilling our wish for angelic armaments to have its shield reduced by a rather dramatic amount.
Imperius does feel unkillable at times, so
at times, yes.
I don't know why I'm way softer on Hogger than I am on Imperius. Probably because Imperius is actually making it through drafts and ruining my day. But yeah, Impaling Light's damage bonus per brand, it has been reduced drastically. Sovereign armor lost 5 armor, and then 250 of that shield just removed. So 1,000 down to 850. All of these are the most popular. I hadn't looked at heroic stats on Imperius in a long time. Angelic Armaments has an 87% pick rate. Looking at the last 2 most recent patches, it's nutty levels of popularity. So
it's intense.
He's just so survivable.
I did see some Wrath of the Angeros this week. So clearly Imperiuses are trying and have taken notice.
I believe that's CCL's fault. We saw some Wrath of the Angeros in CCL, I think 2 weeks ago. I think the first weekend of the playoffs. We saw some of that. But, I mean, gut check me here, man. Like, am I just being mean to Imperiuses? Or are they like legitimately like one of the stealthiest, hardest to kill jerks in the game?
No, they are. They are for sure. And their ability to put armor under their angelic armaments was a very big feature of that survivability. So I think they attacked the right areas without just beating Flash of Anger into the ground, which is a very, very fun way to play.
It's fair. It's very fair. Well, let's look at Ragnaros, a hero we haven't talked about in a while. The dev said that they didn't love how Molten Power Strength was offered in an upcoming cast after meeting its conditions. So this version should give a more immediate reward while also being more attractive for solo laners. And so what they did is it has Molten Power at level 7 has new functionality where if Living Meteor hits enemy heroes at least 5 times, you then reduce its cooldown by 7 seconds and refund 30 mana.
Which is very cool.
It is. Mana's kind of a problem on Rag, and it's something we haven't talked about in a while.
Particularly if you're doing any sort of have to hide in the back line Meteor build because you may have early picked Rag and now you're realizing they have too much poke and you're never going to go in even with a Blast Wave build. So let's do a little bit of surviving and do some meatballing.
This feels a little like a bad Thrall pick. It's very analogous.
A little bit, right? Yeah, and certainly not the control of a Thrall because at least there you get to right-click the Hanzo with your lightning. So you're hitting exactly what you mean to.
That's fair. Yeah, it's not as feel bad, right?
But this is a very cool update in my book. Previously, as they said here, you would be sitting on that power for your next cast, which might not be in a team fight, might now be for lane clear because the world has moved on over the course of that. Your Living Meteor comes down and hits about 3 times on a target if they're just standing perfectly still and then rolls off. So in a 1v1 situation, at level 7, Molten Power probably isn't going to be your big go-to. Like, let's not duel with this thing. But if you get Shifting Meteor done, its quest to redirect, now you can reliably, for sure, get that 5 hits on a single target.
Some nice energy there.
It's all right. It gives Rag more early pick viability, but people will still tell you you're just playing Rag wrong, and you should have done something else if that's what you were concerned about, if you really wanted to early pick him.
Yeah. I mean, really, I'm diving in. Do we need to early pick him? Why are you early picking Rag? We got another cat break. Get another cat break. See, this is it. Kyle's a softie. He was just like, oh, Karth, you look so cute. I can't do it. I can't keep you out, buddy. Leaving you in. Kyle's bleeding heart.
Can't do it, man.
You can't say no to cute cats, man.
No, he wanted to be in here and then he wanted out, but we're trying to The previous Flynn nap was, he was almost asleep. And then the cat meowed, and Flynn shot awake, and he was like, meow, meow, and like ran after the cat. And we're like, no, Flynn, the nap time, our beautiful schedule. Which we're sane parents. We realize we're going to let the kid, ruin our plans because, they're kids. They don't have plans and schedules. But, Karth wanted out, and it was time for him to go.
All right. You get to get back into it?
Yeah, let's dive in.
So why are you early picking Ragnaros in any real scenario? Do we have to? We don't need to.
No.
It's not a contested pick.
Unless you're some sort of main, but then these are nice buffs for you. So congratulations. Hey.
Congrats. Yeah. If you're even interested in the first place, right? Because Shifting Meteor, super underpicked talent. And also not a high win rate talent. But let's...
I do want to jump on this a little bit, though. Because I really, really like that update. They acknowledged what a bummer that was to wait for the cooldown. And so they made it cool down and gave you that ability instantly, or you're the feeling of it instantly, right? You now know that next cast is going to be sooner, so you'll stick around, you'll make a choice rather than leaving things to chance in the wind. And I want to highlight on top of that new May update where they went with Cold Front, reducing the cooldown of icing by 4 seconds flat. And then should you complete the requirements, you can have additional cooldown on top of that. Previously, that talent was just complete these requirements of icing in a blizzard and you will get a cooldown reduction. Now you have a flat cooldown increase and you get to do that bonus thing to even go beyond that if you so choose. This is two talents acknowledging fun. What feels good. And I'd love to see more of this.
All right. Well, way to sell it, dude. Because when you look at Shifting Meteor and you read damage bonus per hit increase from 5 to 6, it's just like, sure.
But those two talents are tied together. If you're going Shifting Meteor, you're probably going Molten Power. You're probably going the Spell Shield. All this is interwoven.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'd like to get back to the... I'd love to get back to Meatball build. That'd be a thing again. Be cool.
It's fun. It is taxing on positioning, which is so important for Rag. Like Thrall, I'll go here, cast lightning, then run around in circles and do whatever the hell I want. But Meatball does take my attention.
It's, you have to be a tactician, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's look at healers. Getting into it with Anduin getting some level 20 love. They said that they're experimenting with a change to Light of Stormwind to allow for Anduin to have higher highs when using Holy Ward's Salvation to its full potential. When he gets a full cast off, he will now have a greatly reduced cooldown, allowing it to be used multiple times in a single fight. And they are not kidding. Light of Stormwind, they added functionality where if Holy Word Salvation, we found the thing I cannot say, lasts its full duration, then its cooldown is reduced by 60 seconds. So if you're taking Salvation, this is looking mighty spicy at 20.
Yeah, but 20 seconds at level 20. Like, imagine you get in a fight, you got this whole thing off. Wow, that was impactful. What are the chances that fight lasts for 20 full seconds and you use it again?
The only one you killed is Malthael, and he buys back.
He buys back. Okay, they all play super safe. They re-engage. Yeah, it could happen. It could happen.
I'm trying to think of some scenarios.
There's a very interesting problem with Light of Stormwind.
You know what? And only because I'm still scarred by the experience we had Murky games. Against a good Murky, you're going to use a lot of Salvation.
You could, yeah. That's true. But for pro play, one thing that's interesting about Light of Stormwind is that it makes everybody invulnerable rather than protected. And protected heroes absorb stuns. Invulnerable heroes don't. It passes through them. So stunning and breaking Anduin's cast is actually easier to do when your allies are invulnerable. Because the Storm Bolt from Muradin would fly straight through the invulnerable allies and hit the Anduin instead. You can't body block it.
So are we about to have a conversation about just incentivizing taking Salvation in the first place?
Well, Holy Word Salvation is fine because everybody's protected. So there people can body block those various CCs. The only problem arises when you get to Light of Stormwind, which seems better on paper with Invulnerable, but actually might not be, because Anduin is still not under that effect.
Oh, that's right, because it's allied heroes. It's not. It doesn't. Yeah, it says right there it does not affect Anduin. So I was missing. That connective tissue. That is weird, but an easy fix if this just goes nowhere, right? You just make it affect. Well, then no, because there's no skill to it.
Right, then he couldn't be interrupted because he would be invulnerable, and that's the counterplay option, is that they are protected.
So how do you fix this? You've really thrown a conundrum at me. I found this fascinating because like it's a strange incentivization. You're kind of de-incentivized to take it if the enemy team has any skill shot stuns.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you fix it. I mean, it's also up against things like Glyph of Faith, which allows the 2 casts of Leap of Faith, which is maybe why you took Anduin in the first place. Yeah. People love Varian's Legacy just for the fun of it. And Desperate Prayer, because you have to kneel for 2 seconds, is just too dangerous for most high-end players.
That's fair. That is fair. Ariel got a talent buff I've been seeing a little bit of buzz about, even though it's a really underpicked talent. But at level 4, Heavy Burden has new adjusted functionality where Detainment Strike slows enemy heroes for 20% for 2.5 seconds, and then slow and duration doubled on enemies it stuns.
See, another one where you get the thing, but if you can complete the bonus thing, you get more. Right.
That's okay. So I didn't pick up. You found the thread, Kyle. What do you call this trend? Do you call this the more thread? Get more thread? The value thread?
The get something, but if you pull off the other thing, you get more thingy. Like,
gotta come up with I need more. I need to catch you. We'll call it the value.
No, listen. It's all made the heck up, right? Because what Magic the Gathering just calls things like boast and intimidate and menace, and what the hell does menace mean? If you had to tell me what menace meant in Magic the Gathering, what would you guess?
Don't know what menace means.
Probably that it has to be blocked by 2 things instead of 1. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, you want to call this something? We could make up anything under the sun.
Let's call it BOGO, Kyle. Buy one, get one.
Okay, yeah. We'll call it BOGO. Sure. BOGO.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. This is a woefully underpicked talent. So when I'm looking on Hot's logs, there is, take it with a grain of salt because this is at a 7% pick rate, but its win rate is tied with Repeated Offense, the most popular level 4 pick by like a landslide freaking victory. And so now it's better.
Yeah, it's something interesting that Don't Judge My UI brings up in the chat, a great name. It works now with Piercing Lash at 13. So even if you don't hit those stuns, you still might slow the enemy team, help a disengage happen.
Piercing Lash is the Detainment Strike, now pierces and hits all enemy heroes in a line, reducing the cooldown by 2 seconds for each. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's some decent synergy.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we're still, we're talking about something that's up against Repeat Offense, which a lot of Orioles use because it actually gives you more hope, and hope generation is not relying on your allies now as you start to make your way down the whole like energized chord sort of build and stuff.
So yeah, and the range increase is nice. This is one of those rare occasions where I think I don't look at something like that and go, oh, this is a crutch that you need to learn how to play without. This is actually like 100% worth the bonus that it gives you. And so that's where Reality Check steps in. It's just like, do we need to just readjust the length of Lash? Do we need to consider a bacon here to take some of the power out of Repeated Offense so that level 4 can open up a little bit more? We haven't seen a bacon in a while. Are there any, now I'm thinking in my head, are there any bacons in this patch?
I don't believe so. Not that I can think of.
I don't believe so. I don't believe I'm going to regret those words in moments. So, but that's a thought. I just get so excited about anything that gets baked in. Sorry.
Yeah, well, free talents. Free talents are great. Unless they're bugs, but, free talents.
It's a long road to Zul'jin. We'll get there. Before we do, let's talk about Brightwing. Dev said that we liked how Safety Dust boosted all of Brightwing's healing tools. However, its healing was overflowing when paired with Phase Shift and Hyper Shift, and not in a way we consider exciting. We believe this change keeps the core of what makes Safety Dust fun. And so at level 13, Safety Dust is the most picked talent at that tier. They adjusted the functionality where it increases Pixie Dust duration by 1 second. Soothing Mist and Blink heal allies with an active Pixie Dust for 75% more.
Pretty massive blow.
Yeah.
I don't know the core of what makes Safety Dust fun. I think the fun was ancestral healing somebody with your phase shift.
It was, Kyle.
You're right, because when you figured out that you could put the Safety Dust on them and then channel, and that Diablo went from 25 to full, it just felt great. And this is a very cool way to augment, to nerf Brightwing without touching her base stats. But it's always a bummer when text gets restricted. Unless, of course, it's Diablo and you want to take me casting too many flame stomps because I can't stop myself. That was a really nice nerf. Thank you very much. But I'm a little worried about this one. Now, I have heard that this does not affect your, what was it, level 7 healing, which I don't ever take, but Critical Mist is a part of this. So that's when Soothing Mist heals, you get rid of everyone's CCs in the area. That healing is still enhanced there. So we're not fully cut off from other avenues of healing, but just that main big one. And granted, like here I am, I've said it 1,000 times over the course of these shows and be like, you know, it's nice when you clean up things that people just don't naturally know. And this wasn't. Like when someone was like, hey, why don't you Safety Dust before you teleport? I'm like, what do you mean? Why would I do that? Oh my God. It's Dax.
Yeah. I mean, I liked Brightwing before this became the way to play, and I still think she was quite impactful. So, like me personally, I'm going to pick her. Is Brightwing out of competitive, though, is my question.
Oh, I don't think so. You still got the global. You still got the polymorph. She still has so many tools. This was a level 13 tool as well. So, if anything, we're going to open up bonus movement speed, Pixie Power, which increases spell armor. Those aren't bad.
Yeah.
They really did fix the talent tier. I really applaud this change. The only thing I'm really arguing with is that they maintained the fun of it.
Chat room saying Brightwing choke alls no more. Oh, geez, Kyle, let's eulogize this one.
Bummer.
Oh, no. Oh, no, and I'm not ripping on chat, by the way. I'm ripping on Brightwing choke all.
But that is interesting, like that would be viable. You know, you've got your Ariels, you've got even your Annas, but Brightwing Cho'Gall would make me hesitate, except for the fact that Safety Dust was a thing.
Hey, dude, I know your favorite thing to do in this game is say, hey, wait till 13.
Do I?
No, I was joking.
Oh, okay.
Listeners at home, when Kyle and I are playing games, when we're losing, one of Kyle's favorite things to chant calmly into the microphone is, it's okay, we scale. We're scaling. Or we're a late game comp. That's another one of yours. Yeah. It's okay, we're late game comp. We've got them in the late game. And so I was teasing you.
I would say I've updated since then. You know, I make a more macro thing like, it's okay, we have an avenue to victory.
You have said...
We got that keep.
You have said we're scaling in the last month.
Oh, totally. I'm just saying that is basically like saying we vibing poggers or whatever else internet slang. Like, it is extremely unhelpful. I made space. I'm aware that I need to move on. The time has passed.
I know. No, I know you're trolling. I'm accusing you of trolling. That's
burgers are good. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. Do you have a second to talk about our Lord and Savior Deckard?
Wait, why is he our Lord and Savior? You like him? Are you a Deckard main?
More NATOs, man.
Okay.
Additional functionality adds another charge.
Right. So this is free game. I think that messing with more NATOs is perfectly viable because the chances of lure NATO in the first place compared to stay a while and listen are so low that why not? Let's get crazy. And it still has its old functionality of reducing the cooldown by 10 seconds every time it hits an enemy hero. Like that, there are going to be a lot of more NATOs. It will be chaos out there. Who benefits from that level of chaos?
Hogger?
Deckard? Hogger's got to line up on walls, though. Like, Uther, maybe? Because he can right-click?
But imagine, Kyle. Just imagine. And I don't care that this is me just getting thematic. You got Hogger on your team, you got Deckard on your team. Deckard just lets loose a bunch of Lornados while Hogger gets infinite Hog Wild BS going on.
Oh, you know, there'd be a lot of chaos and confusion. And you're fighting on the core at Sky Temple, so you just got tornadoes everywhere. Sure. And maybe we're all playing Vala Rainer where we take level 20 range talents and it doesn't really matter that things are being outranged. But, you know, I'm more thinking about the poor ETC, maybe even the poor Kael'thas who has to step up so far to put out a living bomb. Like, I can't aim in this environment. I'm not hitting any skill shots. Jaina's not going to hit anything. I think that it is a really awesome buff because why not?
That's fair.
There's no reason not to go nuts on this because it is just raw chaos in the first place.
It's memeing, man, and just like at this point, just like lean into it. Don't let your memes be dreams. Let's do it. All right, back to Serious Town with the rollerblading DJ. Lucio. They said they did a pass on Lucio and found some places where they could make his talents more interesting and fun. They said they're particularly interested to see how their change to high five working on Lucio helps with his ability to keep both himself and his teammates alive. And so if we go down to 10, we look at high five and see just what happened there. First of all, high five, extremely underpicked. But the cooldown's been increased. The mana cost was reduced by a little, but the interesting part here is that the additional functionality on this is it heals Lucio for 125 and grants him unstoppable for 1 second.
But the text reads, quickly skate towards the target allied hero. Upon arrival, the ally is granted unstoppable. And so are you now. On arrival is ultimately the issue here. For this being super duper fun, awesome, crazy town, which clearly they didn't want it to be yet. If you were riding through the Malfurion route because you were unstoppable, now we're talking like basically we're making a Brightwing with teleport heal. Like you are navigating the battlefield in such an impune way that you're going to be having a great time. But you are still not unstoppable during that travel.
Okay, so there's just a lot of window for pain, suffering, and lost value here.
And you're basically becoming an allied butcher. Like you skate towards your allies, but you do so at whatever movement speed you had. So there is travel time, and it could put you in some dangerous situations should Vala Volt during that time, or Kerrigan jump, or, you know, all the various things that sometimes carry you to somewhere you didn't want to be. I have no idea if this would work with like a Falstad about to fly and then you fly with him across the map thing. I don't know. That's such a rare situation. Probably not. They fixed a lot of those over the years.
Yeah.
Like remember Buddy Kerrigan Falstad in HGC?
Buddy Kerrigan Falstad?
Kerrigan had a very popular talent where you could use your jump, your Q, to target an ally and go to them.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're right. And you get that. It's like the charge glitch on Variant where he just keeps running, right?
Right. So you would use it on about to fly Falstad, who is now flying, and you would follow him across the entire map.
Yep.
Which actually, I did see something great in the CCL I want to bring up to you. It was Cassia. I don't. Do you play Cassia? Do you like Cassia?
I do not like Cassia.
Okay, well, for anyone who enjoys Cassia, there's a very cute thing you can do now where you throw a Q through the wall, the terrain, like on somewhere like Garden of Terror.
Okay.
It hits the ogres, the siege giants, and you're in fend range. So you can then use it to zoo around all the terrain and get to that camp instantly.
Oh, that is really cute.
So you could do that, you know, Cursed Hollow. You got the giants are going down the middle. Sometimes like Asonia will use her hook shot through the wall there and get over to them quickly.
I bet that's something the That's something the devs probably won't address, unlike the Kerrigan Falstad thing, because they seem to like weird little things that only if you're in the know, you know you can pull off on certain heroes, right? But there's a point where it like kind of breaks and it's like too much value or it's too powerful. And what you just described with the Kerrigan following the Flying Falstad, I think definitely falls into the latter category of, yeah, this is too much. This goes over a line. I'm not sure where that line is, but that is over it.
I doubt it'll be fixed too. The only thing really hilarious about it is you're kind of GoldenEye crouch skating.
That is also fair.
But let's talk about Lucio here. So we dive straight into high five.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I would like to make a suggestion, which I think is insane. But we have our Lucio. You got high five. Maybe we get it to 20 and you're thinking about doing mixing fire. High five can now be cast on enemy heroes, dealing damage, reducing all healing received by 50% for 3 seconds. Okay, sure, fine. I would like mixing fire to silence.
Mixing fire to silence.
Yeah, like Lucio runs up to an enemy and just slaps him in the face. And they're taken aback. They're so shocked by this fact that Lucio, in his power gloves and skates, and I think his legs are gone. They're fake legs now.
That is the lore, yes.
Yeah, that's insane, but, good on you. Slapped you in the face.
Sure, why not? I want it themed more. I want it to be like he blasted you with really loud music directly in your ears, and that's why you're silenced, but...
Okay, yeah, we could do like a spell component sort of thing. Like you say, well, Kael'thas, right? He's like a Shalmanor, and he has to say the magical words to make the magic and weave the magic through the air. And because he's now deaf for a period of time, ear blasted, he can't possibly say the words correctly and therefore can't cast.
I'm surprised you didn't go with like high five is now a teleport, because your biggest concern with it is the travel time to make it happen.
Sure, that'd be interesting too, being unstoppable for that travel. Now I really don't want that silence to happen though. So if you feel me, so maybe we can't have both. We can't have both.
No, we cannot. But I was going back to what actually happened here. So yeah.
But that cuteness aside, let's talk about one of the really interesting things that happened to Lucio here, and that is Boombox. Boombox is up against Reverse Amp. It's up against Good Vibrations. I think mainly Reverse Amp for a lot of Storm League players.
Yeah.
Boombox is now without duration. It just goes forever. It has a health bar, so it can be destroyed.
Yeah, and you tested this earlier. I know you went in to test if it sticks around when Lucio dies. What were your findings?
It goes away if you die.
Okay.
But you can actually, if you've never used Boombox before, you can change it between movement speed and healing.
Yep.
It does have the effects of your amp it up business, and it gives vision. So you could use this like a Lunara ward if you really wanted to. Probably what you're going to use it the most for is sitting in a bush near your solo laner, near your off laner, and they can go visit it and be like, hey, Lucio, top lane Lucio, I'm ready for my big heal, hit me.
He's such a bard, man. Now he's got like an enchanted lute he can leave around.
Oh, dude, I would love that. I don't know what you do with the robo legs though and the skates, but yes. Oh, Bard Lucio would be so good with the lute. L-U-T-E lute, but I would be so for that. With a big old, with the hat, with the feather and everything. Oh.
With Lucio's mobility and being one of the most aggressively positioned like healers in the game, like this makes a lot of sense to me. Like being able to scout with this, Lucio's in places that most healers aren't, and taking risks that most healers don't take. And so you could actually ward with your boombox.
Yeah, it'd be cool. The other talents I do want to just kind of skip over for time here because they're all really underpicked.
Yeah, all of them. It's like insane. Like up to 11 at 16, 1% pick rate over the last 3 patches when looking at it on Hostlogs.
Yeah, and then there's things like Summer Anthem that I don't think we really know what it's for. Activate for all allies under the effect of crossfade to become unkillable for 1.5 seconds, but it's a 60-second cooldown. So it's awesome that it's being tweaked. we're just not sure when we would use it on such an outrageous cooldown.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it also affects Lucio. And I don't know. I don't know, man. Sukov is up next. Dev said that some of Stukov's talents have been too inconsistent to be considered viable, so we're making some small buffs to them in order to increase their competitiveness. We're also reducing the strength of some of his overperforming talents to keep his overall power in check. So
this is a deceptively general balance patch note.
Yeah, they're basically saying we buffed underpicked talents and nerfed popular ones that are working.
But they're also not acknowledging why something like reactive ballistospores was so good, which is kind of weird. But I agree with it because you don't want to give away the goods. Like, you don't want to be like, hey, everybody, here's this really wild, kind of crazy, kind of stupid thing that tournament players are doing. We don't want to encourage you doing that thing. And everyone would be like, what is that thing? Can I do it? Yes, you can. It's called off-tank Sukov, and it's great. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
See, what you do on Sukov is you take the level 1 talent, Reactive Ballistospores, where when you take damage below 50% health, you instantly spread weighted pustules to everybody around you and reset the cooldown of Bio Kill Switch. So Stukovs walk in, they use their heal, they use their Bio Kill Switch, because why not? They go up into melee. They start meleeing things. They take damage. They explode and slow and damage everyone around them. And then they can instantly heal and damage everybody again. And he was basically being run as like an anti-Garrosh. Sukov was like, throw me, bro. I'm the one you want. Ah, gotcha. Now with biotic armor behind that and 75 physical army, Sukov doesn't die. And he just CC'd the entire enemy team.
Gotcha. And so now that can only happen every 25 seconds instead of every 15.
Instead of 15, but that might not still be enough. The thing is, though, they did account for this. I do believe that our other buffs here, like Fetid Touch and Low Blow, which now is a 50% threshold rather than 30, are really, really good and kind of scary. So they attacked it from multiple directions. But still, Garrosh might not throw every 15 seconds. Every 25 seconds is fine. And we still see this off-tank Sukov, which equals double support Sukov, which might need to be addressed further in the future.
So your projection is Sukov still gets picked, but maybe builds a little differently.
Or engages in that wacky style less frequently.
Okay. Yeah, this is not what I'm seeing at my level of play from Stukovs. I am seeing plenty of Stukovs.
Yeah, no, Sukov, Brightwing, they're both like the high meta. Everyone knows they're great. People enjoy playing them too, which is a big, big deal.
Yeah, they're fan favorite
I love playing
characters,
Sukov.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, see how that shakes out. But that's a good point. I'm glad that you mentioned, like, in addition to the nerf of Ballistospores, the buffs to the competing talents are actually enticing.
Right.
Which we haven't seen a lot of kind of throughout this. At least I think to both of our eyes. Yeah, Hogger's main build got nerfed. I'm not sure a new build is going to come out of it, though.
Well, I would say it just really goes to the smartness, and I want to flatter the devs again, of these balance design notes. Like, they're not going after the talent on Diva. That's really fun. They're lowering her health, so that talent is affected. And that's what they're doing here with Sukov by targeting the main talent, but making the other ones better.
Yeah.
This could have just been a nerf and rather boring and not added any content, which ultimately balance is content to us players.
Yeah. Getting into Melee Assassin, Kerrigan, which we haven't seen in a while. But they buffed Queen of Blades at level 7. This is a really underpicked talent for Kerrigan. Kerrigan is one of these heroes that has this like build that really hasn't changed for like over a year. I think Chrysalis being taken is the most recent development in the popular build of Kerrigan's. But this is interesting. I like this change. So the damage bonus was increased from 50 to 100% on Queen of Blades, and the Ravage cooldown reduction was increased from 2 to 3. But you pointed out to me yesterday, Kyle, because we actually got into a game where I was just like, I think Kerrigan's the pick here. I'm under, practice, but let's get into it. You're like, oh, just FYI, that new talent that looks interesting doesn't affect monsters.
Yeah, and we were on Infernal Shrines.
Yeah, which frankly, I didn't need it to. Kerrigan is still insane on Infernal Shrines.
No, she's doing fine. Boundless Fury is really fun. Bladed Momentum is really good.
Yep.
Queen of Blades getting an upgrade is just to compete.
Yeah. I mean, Boundless Fury just runs away with it at level 7. Like the pick rate is just off the charts compared to Bladed Momentum or Queen of Blades. But it could be there. It could get there, I think. I think Queen of Blades, this is an enticing change. I think it's just going to depend on what map you're on and what you're doing, if you want to take this or not, which is where I like a lot of talents to get. Moving right along to Valera. Speaking of heroes we haven't really looked at in a patch in a while, even though we haven't had a patch in a while, but
I got the date for you, man. It was 2019. It
was the last
and it would have been August.
Wow.
For the last Valera change.
Whew, okay. All right. Well, Sinister Strike baseline had its energy cost reduced, and the dev said that Valera feels too good to play with a low-cost Sinister Strike, and then continued by saying, we're moving some of Relentless Strike's benefit baseline and also helping out some weaker talents. So, yeah, the big story here is that Sinister Strike is just more efficient. Not going to burn through your energy as quickly. And I think they're right, by the way. I love just spamming Q on Valera.
Actually, this dev comment threw me for a loop. I had to read it like 5 times over because Valera feels too good to play with low Sinister Strike cost.
You're not the only person. I saw people in chat saying this when we were getting the show started.
That's a buff, right? We're all like, but where's the but statement? This is usually followed by
there was no but. There's no but.
There, yeah. It's just a buff.
I mean, Valera has a but, but there's no but in the statement. Okay, I think it was meant to be taken. It's just like, this feels too good to not do this, I think was the what was inferred here. And yeah, I can see it. I don't think you're nuts at all for having a different read on that. But yeah, like they think this is too good not to do, and so they're doing it. Sinister Strike is cheaper, more efficient.
They also took Relentless Strikes at 4 and didn't exactly remove its viability. Reduced from 15 to 10. So
yeah,
it still equals to what you were getting, but now Valera is better in the early game anyway, and a lot of Valeras are going to be very excited about this.
Yeah. I think we're still going to see Relentless Strikes taken. Is my read on that situation.
Totally.
If they really wanted to entice us, they would have thrown a buff or two to the other level 4 talents, but they didn't. So,
well, and that's the joy. That's when you know you're on a rampage on Valera, is when you're just like shanking over and over and over again.
You could come at me and say I was wrong earlier, because this is a bacon in a way.
Okay.
It's a very light one. This is a diet bacon, but this is kind of a bacon. We took 5 from Relentless Strike and we just gave it to Sinister Strike baseline.
Yeah.
So it's all right.
For veggie bacon.
All right, let's get into loose definition of ranged assassin with Cassia. Dev said that Cassia is slightly overperforming at a 53% win rate. I love seeing internal statistics. Thank you.
It's really tame.
That is tame. It makes me wonder what other win rates are at, because on aggregate sites like Hot Slugs, they're higher. There's plenty of heroes above a 53% win rate at the moment.
I mean, clearly you have a dividing skill, right? Like Cassia is something that performs much better in the higher leagues.
We filter by level 5 and up heroes on Hot Slugs, so there's that to contend with as well. So, there's things there. But anyway, some just blatant nerfs to Cassia here. Basic attack damage down 4%. Lightning Fury's damage down a little more than 4%. And Fenn's damage down 5%.
Needed. It's kind of boring, but like I'm not complaining. I think that this could scare people off the pick and could open up other bans to happen, and Cassia is free for those who want it, which is great. I think the high end wanted to see Lightning Fury be nerfed without the basic attack being nerfed. One or the other is what I'm hearing, and that's fair. Both getting hit by about 4%. That's a bummer.
I don't mind really straightforward changes like this when it's to extremely played and popular heroes. So like what I was talking about much earlier when I was saying I look at this patch and I see something designed to upset our draft meta, and this is a major point of that for me.
Yeah, she's also got a really nice balance between her various damage types, whether you're doing Q or auto attack in those various builds. It's just about what kind of risk you can take. So this is the right attack for Cassia.
Phoenix and public enemy number 1, as far as I'm concerned, after that Rexar game yesterday. They said part of Phase Bomb's charm is that it deals 100% splash damage, opening up possibilities for who Phoenix targets. This change realigns inhibiting energy to that philosophy, and so inhibiting energy at 4 no longer requires the primary target to be a hero to slow enemies in the area.
I don't feel qualified to comment on this because Phoenixes are a very passionate lot.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that target acquired and emergency protocol, both of which inform an entire build after that, are still too good.
I am right there with you as someone who has not been passionate about Phoenix since probably the first month he was added to the game.
Honestly, it's a weird thing where, you know, much like the Sonya, I don't want to touch someone else's Corvette. And playing Phoenix feels like I'm just opening myself up for Phoenix mains to fly out of the woodwork and attack me.
It's okay if it's a C4.
Is that a car?
It's an old Corvette.
Oh, it's a bomb.
It's an old but not cool old.
It's like gum and putty. It's like future bombs. It was right around that time when like everything was an EMP.
Oh, now I'm just thinking about the movie Broken Arrow. Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome.
A movie I haven't thought about in a very long time. But it was in rotation the first time we ever had a free weekend of HBO, and so I saw it a ton in a very short amount of time.
As I remember it, it was Rush Hour, you know, with Jackie Chan.
Uh-huh.
And I think maybe the Italian Job had C4. I think they did. I think they did have C4 in Italian Jobs. And also Ocean's 11, all of which have aged rather poorly. So those are my 3 movies you shouldn't watch.
It's been a long time since I watched Ocean's 11, but I feel like I still like it. But maybe it aged poorly. I don't know.
I think it did.
All right, fair. Let's just keep trucking. Get to Gul'dan. Horrify is the only change here, which is the heroic choice. Unless you're out there having fun. Gul'dan. I respect non-Horrify Gul'dans, but
well, might as well rain every once in a while.
Yeah. But Horrify can no longer be interrupted and put in a 10-second cooldown if Gul'dan is stunned while it is being cast. And the devs explained this by saying it was never intended to have a long cast time. And due to its unique setup, we've had a lot of bug reports over the years due to it being interrupted and being put in a 10-second cooldown, but its sound's still going off. This change should fix the issue and get rid of the confusion. This is such a unique dev comment.
Yes, I understand them wanting to reduce their burden of bug reports.
Yeah.
But
at the same time,
you are buffing the main pick, and it's a little scary. There's a part of my brain that was fine with. I never once thought this was a bug because I'd hear ah and screams from Horrify sound effects, and it didn't go off, and I went, oh, we did it. Oh, awesome. We interrupted the mosh that was about to happen. But mosh, of course, has an audio cue that it went off or at least entered its main mosh phase. So I understand why. As long as we don't do this to Junkrat, because killing Junkrat while he still makes the sound effect for Rocket Boost is just the best thing on the planet.
Fair. I mean, I have to believe them here that it was never intended to have a long cast time. Like, I have to believe that because otherwise I just go, why don't you just make it so it doesn't make the sound? Unless that's just, for some reason, really hard to code.
They did this with Thrall years ago, too. Possible. So I think it was just intended.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah, the window was very small, chat room. Zobix is asking. I mean, it was a small window to actually get the cancel on the Horrify, but...
It was entirely incidental. You were trying to face melt somebody else. You hit Gul'dan, and he didn't get his Horrify.
I have to imagine that played a role, too, right? If they're looking at it, they're like, well, what's the window? Like a fraction of a second? Okay, let's just get rid of it. Let's just take this out.
All these bug reports were by Gul'dans in the first place. No one was sitting there being like, oh no, that wasn't right. Oh, surely not. I meant I do wish I was feared during that fight.
Are you doing a character assassination of Gul'dan players? What are you getting at?
I'm just saying that apparently
these aren't Alarax we're talking about
them
here.
with bug reports and caused this change to happen.
Listen, man, if you were talking about Alarax, yeah, you're right. They're basically not people in my book, but Gul'dans I can get down. A couple of my best friends are Gul'dan players.
I mean, you could have picked Jaina and other. You got weird. You got weird because you wanted to be weird.
That was
most Praxis.
To the Alarak players out there. That was mostly a bit. Mostly.
You guys are kind of weird though. Same with Gary's.
Garrosh is. There are two breeds of Garroshes, man. There's the very serious ones that get super angry really quick, and I feel like they're role playing the character. But then there's the other that are like the fun kind of aggro, like yeah, let's go, bro, let's make this happen.
The get this bread type.
It's like the positive end of the bro energy spectrum. Like that exists for Garrosh players, and I'm here for it. But I'm also here for one of the most interesting changes in this patch. Kael'thas, Twin Spheres at level 16. Additional functionality. Gain all level 7 talents.
So not unknown. We've seen this with Mephisto and Deathwing.
Yes.
An ability later on that allows you to unlock all talents on a tier. But it's still damn cool.
It's very cool. And like, I already liked Twin Spheres. I'm that guy. I'm like that guy. I'm that guy that likes doing the weird, like, auto attack Kael'thas build.
That's where this loses some of its luster. Because if you wanted Twin Spheres, you probably went Sunfire Enchantment. Yeah. So you're getting those auto attacks to increase your spell power, so you could put out bigger Pyroblasts.
Correct. And
you were in a game where you could readily auto attack, and that's great. So my point is that getting to 16 with a auto attack focus Pyroblast build and Twin Spheres behind it, how often are you really going to get Burned Flesh off? And at that point, how much is your build really going to be empowered by Sun King's Fury? Compared to Ignite and Fury of the Sunwell with just one of those talents from earlier.
That's hard to argue. It's just that...
So this goes from extremely cool to actually quite tame and understandable, which is awesome. Like, it's amazing that they even noticed that they looked at level 7 and were like, you know what, all these together? That's not a big deal without the other 16s in tow.
That's kind of where my brain is like, why not? And also Twin Spheres has a really strong win rate, like already, looking at previous patches. So this is just better, even if it is not like drastically tied to the build you would be doing if you're taking Twin Spheres in the first place.
And it's stupid cool. And like, you might hit a Burned Flesh, which would be great for an 8% giant killer all of a sudden. And Living Bombs do get spread even in the best of games. So Sun King's Fury is a nice touch up. Like, I don't hate this at all. I love it. It's not OP though, compared to your basic choices of like Ignite or Fury the Sunwell.
Kyle, what if this teaches Mimi auto attack Kael'thas players like me to actually hit 2 targets with my Flame Strike?
That'd be nice. That'd be a great opportunity for you to take advantage of that information.
I don't know. This is some interesting, some scenarios where I'm just like, yeah, why not? Why not? But I see your point.
Yeah, but my point is to tame it down and realize that this is not broken and you might still want those other talents. Like, I love this idea. I would love more of this. I think there are perhaps things like Lunara's 4s that aren't absolutely insane. You got Nature's Calling, though. But that, to me, kind of speaks the same way that Kael'thas is doing this level 7 business. You've got Sun King's or Sunfire Enchantment, and that's where it gets interesting to me. Like, what if you wanted to do that very Pyroblast build I was just talking about? But come level 7, you're like, you know what? This Sonya, this Diablo are always stacked on top of each other. Let's do Burned Flesh for now. And as the game goes on, I plan to get Sunfire Enchantment later.
There's something there.
That's where I love this.
There's something there. Okay.
Yeah.
You thought this through.
I got to play it this week, and it was really, really fun.
That's also, yeah. That was a fun game. That was a fun game, but yeah, Kael'thas used to be a big main of mine, and has kind of really fallen off for me, but You know, this is still, at the end of the day, it is just interesting and it's cool. And it's an example of, I think, the freedom that Heroes of the Storm has had in the last few years. This is just not a change we would have seen 3 years ago.
Well, and what a cool way to maybe even diversify those picks at that level. Like, let's look at something like maybe Greymane's level 4. Eyes in the Dark. People love the disengaged stealth. Thick Skin is decent. Insatiable is good for Greymanes who can't manage their mana. Which isn't a jab. Like, there's a lot of having mana forever is great.
Yeah.
But what if I pick something like Thick Skin early game and then got Eyes in the Dark come 16 for some reason? What's chilling at 16? Well, Alpha Killer, Executioner, Eager Wolf, those are all great. So not a perfect hero to do this scenario on. Plus, I'm targeting a 4.
Yeah.
But I want to see more projects like this, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would too. I would too. Let's move right along to Nazebo, where Toads are getting some armor. Level 13 Guardian Toads. They are adjusting the functionality, hitting enemy heroes with Plague of Toads. Grants 30 armor for 1.5 seconds, stacking up to 4 seconds. According to the devs, this is to try and contend with the continuous value of Superstition, or in their words, the immediate value of Ice Block. I can already tell by the notes that you were not convinced, Kyle.
Ice Block is amazing. And 4 seconds of 30 armor. I did get a little excited when I thought this was up to 4 times. So 120 armor, which wouldn't actually ever reach that amount because cap is 75, but maybe you run some armor effect or something. So like, I got excited about that idea for a hot moment.
I mean, I get excited about things I misread all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this like, he's poison burst, right? Like you can make a lot happen if you're a little risky, and the Ice Block just empowers that level of play of going in, just dumping poison on someone in a position you probably shouldn't be in, but it enables you to land everything, and you just Ice Block and watch them slowly melt.
Well, and you're always doing stuff you shouldn't be, like soaking that lane so far up, and maybe by the time Illidan does do the hunt, and at least it doesn't hit and stun you, your friends can show up and help you out of that situation.
Maybe. I'm less excited about that one, but yeah. But yeah. This I don't foresee this being a big swing in level 13.
Points for trying, and points for supplying a dev comment with it, because we all kind of look at this talent and say, no, not today.
They go, maybe today. We go, maybe not today, but we'll see.
What was... Maybe this will just be the new, what was the Li Ming talent? Ether Walker?
What did it do? I don't remember.
Oh, Ether Walker was that one they just kept messing with, so we would take it. And the dev comment eventually became, just take Ether Walker already.
I don't remember that. That's great, though. Tychus. Popular talent, quarterback, level 1. Getting nerfed. Bonus damage reduced from 20 to 10%. That's it, though. Range is fine. But what do we think about this? Is this like this is notable? Like that's a decent amount of bonus damage, but is it the reason Tychus works?
No, quarterback is taken because of the range, and because that then gives Tychus the ability to soak very, very safely as the game reaches 7 with melting point and all that sort of business. It is worth noting that the bug was fixed where you would be dismounted by that dot damage, which is fabulous. A good bug fix. Tychus, because of quarterback mainly, is able to be early drafted. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think he supplies burst as a sustain, and that's crazy, and that's always useful and shores up a lot of issues that could happen later on. Now we have May too to combat him, so maybe the Tychus reign will slowly die off. Yeah, but as long as quarterback has that range on it of 50%, Tychus will be able to be universally picked early.
So in your, do we want to keep it that way? Do we? Because according to the devs, this was just straight up, we overbuffed this so you would play double W build. So we're bringing it back. That's all they said in the dev comments. Not saying anything about incentivizing other talent picks or whatever. So this is like on us players with our Tychus opinion. Do we like that? Do we want talent diversity at 1? If we do want talent diversity at 1, do we need to consider baking that range in? Is that just the range that Grenade should be?
No. That would be very, very scary. Tychus's ability to burn and then clean up with a grenade is why he doesn't have press the advantage range or dash movement speed. Like, there has to be a sacrifice for that. But you're not wrong that it is weird that we are favoring this one build over others while it compensates for Tychus's weaknesses. However, I see that kind of like Monster Hunter Vala. Like, most Valas probably want to do, at least from my quick match experience, a Creed of the Hunter auto attack build, the high octane business. But they realize they can't in many situations.
Is there a world where the range is compromised? Where you do a bake in, but maybe it's half the range increase it used to be or whatever.
I think then you end up with a blinded Tychus, a Tychus that is back to being weak to the exact same things that he was weak to, without any way to compensate for it. So it's really smart as a talent. So I don't think we can bake this in.
Gotcha. Because, I mean, there's plenty of heroes where we pretty much have, like, guaranteed, like, must-take talents that we seem to be happy with and the devs seem to be happy with. Yeah. We talked about Kerrigan earlier. It's a weird niche example because it's not like Kerrigan's running away with pick rates or anything, but that is a hero where the build just kind of is what the build is. And we seem to be fine with that because it's stayed that way for so long.
Right. But I would even pose to you again that Vala situation. If you baked in Monster Hunter, now she's not sacrificing power in other areas for it. And there's a problem. That's just a better Vala, and that's too scary.
That's fair. And there's still rare occasions where maybe you're staring down the barrel of a team that has no blind. You're just like, do I need it? Probably still. But, you know, maybe you make an informed decision, you make a cool play, you get some power elsewhere. We'll see. It's time to talk about Zul'jin. Currently not allowed in CCL. It's been a big focusing point for talk surrounding this game this week because he's bugged.
It's a call out point. It's not egregious. It's not grievous. Maybe would be the pun I'm going for. But it is enough. So what's happening is Zul'jin got a buff to an underpicked talent called No Mercy. Additional functionality, basic attacks against enemy heroes marked with Grievous Throw deal an additional 2% of their max health as damage. This is the talent where your attacks, while under that Grievous Throw effect, ignore armor, which is great. And now you're going to use that against Gary, and now you're doing giant killer damage to Gary, and that feels pretty great. Except for there is a bug where this is available at level 1, and all Q-marked targets will be taking bonus damage.
Yes, and ignoring armor.
Right.
Which is the big one with Garrosh.
Actually, I'm not entirely sure about the armor part.
Oh, is the armor not part of this? Is it just the 2%?
I don't know. I haven't attacked a Gary, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, okay.
Everyone talks about the giant killer, so maybe that's not part of it. Maybe Chad can help me out there.
Because the ignore armor is still part of this talent.
Yeah.
So if it is, I've only seen the giant killer called out as well, but it's been confirmed that this is a bug. D Warner got into multiple, or no. Sorry, D Warner got into a thread and Daybringer got into another thread, but saying they're aware of this issue. And they're actively exploring their options to correct them. This is D Warner now saying they're going to share more details about their plans as soon as they're available. And just talking about how it takes time. This is Daybringer too got into a more heated thread saying that they're hoping to fix it. And then goes on to say that, you know, as with all things in game development, I cannot snap my fingers and fix it, nor can I reliably give an accurate timeline at the moment. So this is the kind of thing where I look at it and I go, this is probably a bit of a head scratcher. It's probably not as obvious or as easy a fix as we all usually tend to like to think bugs are in games.
It does appear to have the armor effect, as I just tested. But yes, as chat brings up, Kerrigan took 4 days to fix, which was rather impressive. I don't really remember that being an issue as much because Kerrigan was a melee assassin, so very few people made that hustle over. And right now, at least as of yesterday, Zul'jin is not running away with it. People have not been practicing their Zul'jin. He was actually down.
There's a lot of room for punishment on Zul'jin. like you always call him Hard Rainer,
Yeah.
which is a joke, but it's also really accurate.
He has his maps, he has his play style.
Yeah.
And we will weather this bug just fine. It's really cool that they buffed the Grievous Throw build in any way, because a lot of main Zul'jins will say this is the way to go. This is the way to really take advantage of your kit and punish the enemy. Anything else is cute or for people who don't main Zul'jin.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on it. You won't be seeing Zul'jin and CCL until this is fixed.
Now, ignoring all that, we've got another winner for cute and awesome talent design, and I want to target Ensnare here. Ensnare has a 40-second cooldown now. That's a nice buff, but if you don't hit a hero, the cooldown is set to 10. That is awesome, because missing sucks. And going on 40-second cooldown for missing sucks, and 10 seconds is still a really long time, and you're probably not going to get the very target in the very situation you want in the first place. This is a buff to a basically guillotine build, certainly.
Yeah, because you took this in a game we played together yesterday.
Yeah, and I was following up your Rexar stuns.
Yeah, and I felt like it was always up, and I don't know if that's always just because I guess 40 seconds not that bad of a cooldown in the first place, or if you were missing and it was just always ready.
Because I was missing. Yeah. It's definitely because I was missing.
Well, it seemed impactful, and so did the guillotine. So, I mean, obviously Zul'jin's gonna feel impactful in the right hands. You haven't been playing him in a while, but he used to be an old flame of yours.
Yeah, definitely.
Just like that scene in the first Fast and the Furious, you like rip the dusty cover off, but instead of a charger underneath, it's Zul'jin.
Very dusty Zul'jin.
And I guess I'm Paul Walker in this scenario that I just put myself in, and I go, well, oh, it must be nice. I don't remember lines, and you just go, I've never driven it. And I go, but why? And you go, because it scares the hell out of me.
Well, wouldn't that be that my son pulls the cover off it because I was?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? I mean,
what was Vin Diesel's dad doing that he didn't
died
have the car anymore?
He died in it.
Oh, I'd rather live and have my son play my Zul'jin account, but sure.
It's not a perfect analogy, Kyle. It's not. I mean, it's a very.
Okay.
If someone died in that car, it's in perfect condition in the film. So there's the insinuation that Vin Diesel's been fixing it.
Right. My haunted Blizzard account.
All right, this is a terrible analogy. Let's move on. Yeah, I'm with you on the ensnare. It encourages you to use the ability, right? It encourages you to not be precious with your ensnare, to take the risk and see what you can make happen. And I realized that like this is a route that you can talent into. It's not in a base kit, but I can't think of any like base kit movement and pairing effects that are as punishing as what used to be a 45-second cooldown on ensnare. Now so not only did they lower the cooldown, but now they don't punish you nearly as much for missing.
Well, and it's a route which we've often, poo-pooed and been like, routes are good, they're not enough. But suddenly on a hero with no CC that is sporting something like guillotine, that's really awesome. I would love to see something happen to Buzzsaw. I don't think that talent really does it. Mainly it's the climb to 20 and then suddenly having a completely different aspect to your ult. So different that it fires in a line after it kind of spins on the ground, which is very cool. The graphic is awesome, but I would love Buzzsaw to get some love.
It would need, I don't know, man. It's like it needs a cooldown reduction or something. So you're just like, I'm going to just try and hit people with the line effect of this if I can't hit them perfectly.
Maybe. I mean, they add an aspect where if you kill somebody, you are instantly healed to full, which is neat. But maybe that's counterintuitive. Maybe Zul'jins don't want to jump to full health if they hit this thing.
Yeah.
What else can we give?
It's just, you're right. It's a strange one. It is a strange one for sure. Yeah. And that's it. That's the patch. We made it.
We made it.
There was a lot there. Not a lot of heroes ending in what we would consider the buff category. A lot of this was
Valera, Gul'dan.
Yeah, May, Valera, Gul'dan, and Kael'thas, but you've really, cooled the temperature of the Kael'thas room.
It's a cool buff. That's what it is. It's a buff that is very cool and exciting, and I encourage you to go play with it and enjoy Sunfire Enchantment build, but ultimately, you probably have better options still. Yeah. Nerfs were a lot bigger. Diva, Gaslow, Hogger, Imperius, Brightwing, Sukov, Cassia, and Tychus.
That's
being that they were nerfed in their main build.
That's a lot of meta, dude. That list.
Yeah. But not defining. Like, we're not going to change everything for the CCL weekend.
No, but it's going to have an impact on our home game. Diva is extremely popular. Diva is still the second most banned hero right now, I believe, at least on Hot's logs. Gaslow been the highest win rate since his rework got sorted out. Hogger, insert every Hogger opinion we've been bouncing around Reddit for the last month and a half. This is why, this is it right here. That's why my statement at the top was like, this has opened up the draft in my game where I'm playing. Like, the draft is somewhat interesting again.
Well, I've got one scary thought for you here, because we have all of our reworks, talent incentivizations, all that sort of fancy stuff. But you know who didn't get touched up? It's Chromie. And I think Chromie just goes right back to first ban territory.
And that was seen in at least our games together this week. We saw a lot of Chromie bans.
Yeah, I think she, by nature of not being touched, is buffed.
I think so. Mages are not super hot right now, though, so I don't mind there being one that kind of strikes fear into us.
No, but I think that's on purpose very much. We've been through burst metas, and while people often request, hey, I want to be able to kill things, they're just not fun. It's not fun. It brings about a cleanse meta, which brings about double support meta, which snowballs into just gross territory.
Kyle with the slippery slope argument.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Well, here you go, Kyle. Bring back the burst meta, but don't make it so you can draft more than one healer. We're just getting into really...
Again, I hate rules, you know.
I do too, man. Like, we got it. We had our tankless game yesterday. We were bummed. Both of us were just like, this is stupid. We lost the draft. And we won. Like, really handily. Like, it's just, you get good stories out of these weird-ass games sometimes. It was like, what, 8 months ago? Maybe more than a year ago when we were doing a patron night. We ended up with like the 3 mage comp, and we're like,
yeah.
And I think it was my fault. I'm like, no, I tried to switch to a hero, and I messed up last minute and ended up on a Jaina as like our 3rd mage. And
it was Jaina, Kael'thas, Kael'thas.
Yeah, we just wrecked. It was disgusting.
And we wouldn't have all those awesome stories and all those awesome comps if they had given us the Overwatch treatment years ago. Yeah. And I think it conflicts with the very idea of what this game originally was, which was that quick match, make Illidan what you need Illidan to be.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, anyways, so after sitting here and chewing on it for 2 hours, are you still happy with the patch?
I'm more happy now that I've gotten over my shock that it wasn't all that much content in terms of what I was going to run immediately to the game and try out. One Kael'thas talent had me excited. And I tried it out and I cooled down on it. Outside of that, I'm still on the same projects. I'm going to learn a Hogger so we don't have to ban him for my Heroes Lounge team. I'm going to still be eyeing that Chen and making my way down that road. Tychus is fine. May is a bit cooler, but doesn't change my desire to play her. So a healthy balance patch, and I'm really excited for that next one, which I think will come around BlizzCon line, which might be more reworky, interesting.
Yeah. I think I am more let down by this patch as someone who makes content for the game than I am as a player of the game.
That's fair.
Because as I said, like, when I see a noticeable shift in my at-home draft, it's interesting. It is exciting. It makes me perk up and take notice and start figuring things out again. But these were pretty, to me, tame. Like, it is difficult for me to get excited about talent incentivization changes. And I don't want to, this is just me talking to you, my friend, and the thousands of our closest friends listening. I do not want to draw a line in the sand and be like, talent incentivization is like boring or whatever. That's not inherently what I'm saying. It's just the type of thing that doesn't make me go, holy crap, what is happening to this game? Because it's so difficult to know if it's going to be impactful or not.
No, and the purpose of balance and late in the game's life, balance is balance. And they went out to do exactly what they wanted to.
Yeah. Ragnaros probably the one I'm the most interested in because I'm just like, I haven't even thought about Ragnaros in a long time. And that was definitely talent incentivization. I like I lied. I like the Kerrigan talent too. I'm not sure how impactful it's going to be, but it's going in an interesting direction. So we'll see how this one rolls out. And now it's basically the end of January. Like BlizzCon Line is right around the corner. I'm curious to see if Heroes is going to have something for us.
Yeah, I do still expect that hero announcement. That's very healthy and good for the game. I'm curious, of course, what the presence is going to be outside of whatever our panel is. What are we part of a list, or is there more to it in their eyes? I guess for the internet's sake, Garrett, we got to give it a rating. We promised we would do this from now on, so let's rate this patch.
Did we? Oh God, what scale? I don't even remember what scale we agreed on.
We were just doing 10s out of 10.
Out of 10. Out of 10. I think this is like a poster child 5.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'd go with the 6. I mean, if we're talking a balance patch, let's give it a 9. If we're talking a content patch, let's give it a 2. 1 point for May and 1 point for Kael'thas.
Well, then we're getting in the subcategory. And I think I agree with you. Because boy, has it upset the balance at home for me in a good way, in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Like I might see something interesting banned way and something usually banned get through way. Like, I like that. That's fair. All right, standard rating 5 for me. For what it is rating, yeah, I'll give it an 8.
Yeah.
Give it an 8.
And that's not bad because we expect more. Not from this. We expect more to come. That will be down that avenue of content.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen a more like obvious buff to a hero that doesn't really have a home right now. Like one more just like thing to look at and go, is this my new project? Is this something we can recommend to the players? Is this something that's going to upset the meta, not because it's opened up a ban slot, but because we just haven't seen it being picked? I don't need a huge rework. This doesn't need to be Tassadar Town. But what if our old staples that aren't seeing a lot of time, like I don't know, like what if Vala got a buff?
Oh, Thrall comes to mind.
Thrall, damn, you're right, does come to mind. What if Ragnaros, in addition to Meatball Bill getting some love, just got some like base kit shoring up? I'm not sure.
I'm excited about that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I look forward to it. I mean, you got your Hanzos, even your Maevs right now, which is being run as a main tank in CCL that you can't touch. You can't. That's fair. You can't nerf it because it's too low at home, and you can't buff it because it would go crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I think my 5 is also very much influenced by how quiet it's been for so long. If this was last year and this was another patch in the line of our 3-week, breaks, like cool, fine. But after waiting after that long holiday break, this one's just like, okay. It's
expectations, right? But there was a video game recently. You may have heard of it that had really high expectations after a long wait. You might have seen news about this.
Have I? I don't know, because I'm not seeing anything that you're alluding to for sale on like the PlayStation Store. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You can't even see it.
I can't buy it I couldn't buy it if I wanted to, Kyle. We have had better bits, man.
Probably not fair to anybody to compare Cyberpunk and Heroes patch notes. Probably not fair.
You know what? I'll give you your headline. Heroes of the Storm, better than Cyberpunk.
There we go.
There you go. All right, man. I think it's going to bring us to the end of this episode. Folks, if you want to write in, be a part of the show, we can be reached at itncast@gmail.com. If you are a patron, support us over at patreon.com/ITN. You can write us directly there, skip the inbox entirely, and you'll be supporting us in the process. So go check it out. Everyone gets access, by the way. You give us $1, you give us $5, you get in. It works. So thank you. Huge thanks, by the way, to our Patreon producers, Declan H, Cheesy Bob, Chris K, Mike C, and Sean B. We really appreciate the support, everybody, so thank you very much for that. You can catch us live Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time over twitch.tv/amovetv. Sometimes we're a little late, so follow us at ITNcast to let you know exactly when we're going live. We also let you know about time changes and other things. But other than that, Kyle, dude, when you are not going into the Nexus with me, where can people find you?
You can find me over at twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson, where you can check out those games live that I play, well, by myself, but also with Garrett from time to time. You can check those over at youtube.com/Kyle Fergusson, 2 S's in Fergusson. And of course, check out the various D&D 5th edition content I've got going on with dungeon mastering. There will be dungeons over on the Frog Pants Network, and the D&D advice show DM Gives Inspiration over at kylefergusson.com.
Everyone go check that out. I can be found on Twitter at GarrettArt, Garrett, 2 R's, 2 T's, and then ART for art. Go check that out. Follow me there. Hear my thoughts and whatnot. Everything else, this show included, can be found over at amove.tv. I would really like to implore you to go and listen to the Angry Chicken's 400th episode this past week, because we had a ton of awesome guests on. We had Celestial on, you may have known from World of Warcraft, now over on the Hearthstone team. We had Slissa, we had Jonathan Vigil, we had Ridiculous Hat, and of course, Jocelyn and myself. We just had everyone on at one time, and it was just this big, ridiculous hangout. I loved it. It was so much fun.
Congratulations on 400.
Thanks, man. Probably the funniest part was Slissa, who is the same age as us, didn't know that podcast came from iPod, and there was this wonderful moment of realization. It was just very funny.
Nice.
So highly recommend it. There's a lot of just good human moments in that. But that and everything else over at amove.tv. So go check it out. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Into the Nexus. Until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.